What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. And of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. I want to thank everybody who stuck around for my rants. If you missed the rant, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. You just missed a doozy. But for those of you who were here, appreciate you. Much love. It's okay. If you didn't catch that rant, you'll catch the next one. I promise you. That's why you got to turn on your notifications and follow me on Rockfin. Push the notification bell here. Or if you want the rants, you can either subscribe on Rockfin Premium for $9.99 a month, where you get access to all premium content on Rockfin's platform. That includes for myself, Pasa Fiorella, from the Convo Couch, Ron Pacone, Matt, Graham Elwood, Sophia, everybody, Robbie Yeager. Or you can become a patron on Patreon, and you'll get the full live streams there as well. So, with that being said, we had some crazy 48 hours. Just crazy. Listen, y'all. Do y'all know that Bernie endorsed Cenk? Did you know that Bernie unendorsed Cenk? Nah, your ears weren't deceiving you. That's exactly how that sounded. Just as quickly as I just changed the conversation from endorsement to unendorsement, that was literally how fast that process went. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Okay. I'm going to give a few takes about this. Okay. I'm going to give a petty take. I'm going to give my hater of the year, Dave Chappelle take. Okay. It's going to be a petty take. Absolutely. 100%. I'm going to give my objective take, like objectively what this looks like. But I'm also going to give the political implications of this. Right. So let's read the tweet. Let's read the tweet from Bernie and talk about it. Cenk has been a long-time fighter against corruption. However, our movement is bigger than any one person. I hear my supporters who are frustrated and I understand their concerns. Cenk today said he is rejecting all endorsements for his campaign, and I retract my endorsement. Oh, man. Okay, so. Oh, man. Well, this is awkward. Because Bernie has literally never rescinded an endorsement before, to my recollection. So that's awkward. That's awkward as hell. And this was in response to a hit piece by the LA Times. It was a hit piece referring to Cenk's past that, if I'm being honest, he was already held accountable for it. He was kicked off the board for the Justice Democrats. He was excoriated by the media. He apologized for it. And let me just be real about it. It was a blog where he was basically chastising women, saying just a bunch of nonsense. And it was clearly the blog of somebody who didn't get laid enough, right? Can I keep it a band with y'all? Can I keep it real? He simply wasn't getting laid enough. And he was writing some not so nice things about women and the way they go about their sex lives and et cetera, et cetera. And it was literally, he was upset he won't get laid. I don't know where else to put it. And it was some bad stuff, but he was held accountable for it. And to be completely honest with you, this wasn't brought up to harm Cenk. It was brought up to attack Bernie. If I'm being real about it. I do not believe that Cenk should have to pay for mistakes that he made. At the same time, by the way, because Cenk was not unique with his nonsense from the early 2000s. A lot of motherfuckers was saying some dumb shit in the early 2000s, right? Can we keep it a band? Yes, we can. So I don't believe that he should be constantly punished for that. Especially, ladies and gentlemen, when we have hundreds of things to be mad at Cenk about in 2019. I don't give a damn what he did in 2004. We could talk about that 20 million. We could talk about Russiagate. We could talk about kissing Warren's ass. What you want to talk about, bruh? We could talk about a lot of different things that we don't have to dig in 2004, 2003 to discuss. That's how I feel. Now, here's the thing about that though. Even though, ladies and gentlemen, I don't agree that he should be excoriated for the rest of his life for mistakes that he's made. Y'all know I'm a very spiritual person. I'm a very, very spiritual person. I believe in karma, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. I believe in karma. Cenk's endorsement of Bernie was always a pragmatic one. He kissed Warren's ass and boosted Warren for 10 months before endorsing Bernie Sanders. He was even going to endorse Warren, except for he got brutalized in ratio in his tweet. So he changed it last minute after saying that he and Anna were endorsing two different candidates. But that isn't the extent. That isn't not even close to the extent of what Cenk has done. Cenk has betrayed the progressive movement for his own interests over and over and over and over and over again. And if you are a Cenk fan or a TYT fan, I don't give a damn, because these are the facts. The main point I can make, we can talk about Russiagate. We can talk about vote shaming people in 2016. We can talk about all that stuff. But we're just gonna go back to the main hypocritical point that Cenk he beats himself on every single time. That's why I can't take nothing he says seriously. His whole thing is, I want to fight big money in politics. He talks about this often. He even tried to make some argument that Warren is better on this issue than Bernie is. Here's the problem with that argument. You talk about big money in politics specifically. You oftentimes talk about the big money that comes from corporations and flows into the Democratic Party. And your argument wouldn't be so fucking ridiculous if you didn't take 20 million from those same corporate donors who bought the Democratic Party and then try and look at us in our fucking faces and convince us that you're somehow different than the other corporate people that are getting bought off, as you're sitting there lying to us about Russiagate. I mean, is that fair? Is that a fair assessment? Like, you're full of shit. You've been lying and deceiving and conniving and slithering and like every negative damn adjective I can think of with the ing at the end of it. You've deceived and manipulated, and you've used that massive following you have to personally profit and to build up your agenda, not the agenda of the movement. You were lucky Bernie even endorsed you to begin with, because I was against that from the jump. He should have never endorsed. I don't give a damn about that shit that happened. I mean, I care about it, but you were held accountable for it. Cool, got you. You have not been held accountable for that 20 million. You have not been held accountable for Russiagate. You have not been held accountable for vote shaming. You have not been held accountable for misstep after misstep after misstep that turned out to not be missteps, but purposely being done. It's funny because it seems like whenever you take money from that person, your views and your coverage just seems to go in the direction that fucking donor wants it to go. That's what happens. And I will give you this. I will give Cenk credit here, which it was super weird because I wasn't expecting it. But when everybody else on TYT went off the fucking rails attacking Tulsi, Cenk was the only one who actually defended her. Super weird. Don't get it. Don't understand it. But I'm going to give him credit there. That's the only thing that he's done this election cycle that I actually admire, because it took a lot to stand up to all these people yelling at you in your ear for defending Tulsi. Cool. But this is what Cenk deserves. You've been baiting and switching progressives for the last 4 years, Cenk. Karma's a bitch. I don't know how else to say that. But she is. Not only is Karma a bitch, but she's also undefeated. And that's a fact. So, with that being said, that's my petty hater of the year perspective. Now, an objective take. So, why would Bernie rescind his endorsement, despite the fact that Cenk has already been held accountable for this, despite the fact that this is rehash, that this is clearly just a hit piece? Because it doesn't look good on Bernie's behalf. It doesn't. It just doesn't. This comes off as making him look more responsive to mainstream critiques of he or people he supports than he is responsive to his supporters. Now, he makes a claim in his tweet that he was responding to supporters criticizing the endorsement, but like, I want to be clear, Bernie has endorsed people like Daraca in California. Many of you are familiar with him, who was toxic. He was toxic, and he didn't rescind his endorsement. People were pissed about the fact that Bernie endorsed Tim Canova and then completely pulled back, never kept his end of the bargain. And that was because of what the establishment pushed him to do. So it seems that Bernie is more responsive to mainstream attacks than he is the progressive movement, and that is problematic. Damn what you think about Cenk, that is problematic. Reynaldo Moreno, thank you for the super chat. You're amazing, Niko. I'm so glad I'm on your side of truth. Alpha male you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. But my thing is, as much as we like, I can critique Cenk on a lot of issues. I do believe that he will vote progressive 70 to 75% of the time. And I do believe on domestic issues specifically, he would vote progressive 100% of the time, because his record, his brand, TYT's brand, depends on it. Period, point blank. Foreign policy, unfortunately, Bernie and Cenk are like damn near identical, and that's not a good thing. So the moral of the story is, for Bernie's situation specifically, it made perfect sense for him to just keep the endorsement, and that would have been a teaching moment. It could have been we can't continue to punish people for what they did 20 years ago. It's especially when they've apologized, especially when they've shown. And I do believe that Cenk is genuinely apologetic about that. There are things that he is not apologetic about, and he's very open about those things. Sarah Min, thank you for the super chat. Anna Kasparian and neo-progressive fame chasers Vigilant, Brooks, and Cedar are useful idiots for the military-industrial complex and the intelligence state. I mean, yeah, damn, I can't really say that any better than that. But I appreciate the super chat, though. But in all seriousness, Cenk would have been a good ally to Bernie in his particular agenda in Congress. No matter how much I personally do not like him, I know that okay, you know what Cenk is like? Cenk is kind of like Ro Khanna. Cenk is like Ro Khanna. When he's good, he's good. When he's bad, you knew it was coming. Right? Is that a good description of Cenk? When he's good, he's good. When he's bad, you knew it was coming, and you're not even surprised by it. But that helps Bernie in Congress. I'm not saying have Cenk run his campaign. But when you make an endorsement like that and you rescind it because of political pressure from the mainstream, it makes it look like you don't have a backbone. Because the only reason that Bernie hasn't defended Tulsi to the degree that he should have is because of what? Political pressure. Why does he call Maduro a dictator and then sits here and tells everybody he wants socialized medicine like in Canada? He said, I'm not talking about that Venezuelan socialism. I'm talking about that Canadian socialism. Bro, it's just... Actually, I would make an argument that Venezuela's medicine, medical, or national health care service is better than Canada's. I think they would make the same argument. But why does he do that? Why is it that you can celebrate Evo Morales and defend him, as you should, but get Venezuela wrong? Pressure. Why is it that you can defend Lula, but then introduce a resolution to overthrow Gaddafi. Well, that's a kind of a harder, that's a different situation. But because of pressure, that's why. And it's becoming a pattern. Jay Wood, hope we're all still happy when a centrist wins that seat. I hate TYT now, but be real, he was the best. No, I agree, Jay Wood. I agree with that. That was the assessment that I initially made about this whole situation whenever Cenk announced. I agree. I think that it is disingenuous for any objective observer to claim that the other candidates are more progressive or better in any way, form, or fashion than Cenk would be. Even if it's for pragmatic reasons, Cenk would be better than anybody else. And by Bernie abandoning him, he is kind of setting Cenk up to lose this district, because this is the story that is going to dictate the narrative going forward for Cenk, which means now we're going to potentially have someone who is worse than Katie Hill. And Katie Hill was a Zionist neoliberal, but Christy Smith, I believe her name is worse. I think George Papadopoulos is running for office. Like, it's a red district. It's just not going to be pretty. These are the facts. As inconvenient as they must be, like I said, y'all know how I feel about Cenk. Like I feel like I'm clearly not shy about my feelings about Cenk. And it's funny because I don't like Cenk, but I think he will be better, and he would have served Bernie's purposes. And I love Bernie. I love Bernie as a person. I love his family, but he fucked up here. He didn't make a good decision here. I'm a contrast. I'm gonna be a Tulsi cultist for a second. Okay? Do you all know that I was smeared by Huffington Post? Some of you may not know. A lot of you do, but some of you may not know this. I was smeared by the Huffington Post. Badly. Whenever Tulsi got a hold of that smear, she and her sister and her press assistant had emailed me and were like, "Welcome to the club," and laughed about it. They laughed about it because they knew if the establishment was smearing me, then it must be because I'm on the right side. And even if it was something that was bad from my past, which there wasn't anything bad in it. I mean, they were trying to spin and do what they do, and they lied a lot. But even if it was something from my past, Tulsi wouldn't have just cut off campaign ties with our network because of a past. She wasn't going to cut off Fiorella and Pasta because of my past. She wasn't going to cut me off because of my past. You get what I'm saying? In fact, she laughed about it, and she had the understanding to say, hold on. If he's being smeared, well, now I know Niko is on the right side and he's on the side of the movement. That is what I would like to see Bernie do more, but he does not do that. He does not. That's his weakness, is capitulating to his advisors. The advisors who weren't really all that good at doing what they did before, but they end up on Bernie's campaign because they have this change of heart. They give this sob story about how they didn't want to be neoliberals, but they were forced to be in that situation, and they give Bernie the sad eyes, and they say, and look, I'm a person of color, you can use it, hire me, I'm a person of color. No black men though, no black men, just people of color. That's another problem for him too, by the way. And because of that, this is what happens. It's a bad move. It was not a good decision. In my humble opinion, it was not a good decision. It's not gonna hurt Bernie. It's not gonna kill his campaign. Once again, petty take though is that karma's a bitch. That's my petty take. But I really hope that Bernie develops some courage before he takes office. It's because it's looking like he is going to walk off with it. Depending on how Iowa and New Hampshire go, it is looking like he may walk off with the nomination. And that's fine. But it's only going to be fine if he's going to display the political courage needed to fight this establishment and this system. And time again, I've seen people that work for him fight the system more than he has. I've seen Nina fight and fight. Whenever Bernie when he got it way wrong on reparations, and Nina would not budge and eventually pushed him left. Killer Mike supported Jill Stein after Bernie. Cornel West would not bend over to Hillary after 2016. He still loves Bernie. He says all the time, I feel the same way. I love Bernie, man. He is a good guy. Like, Bernie's genuinely a great person. His family is amazing. Levy is radical. His son is more radical than Bernie is. Jane is actually further left than Bernie is, for those of you who do not know. Jane is further left than Bernie. I know a lot. Jane wanted Bernie to go independent and join the movement for the People's Party. That's how far left Jane is. She's done with the Democrats. Levy, same thing. However, with that being said, he has blind spots as a politician, and they have to be addressed. Have to be addressed. And we can't keep pretending like it's not there. You have to teach a lesson in this. That's what leaders do. That's what leaders do. When you were proposed with this situation, all you had to do was say, you know what? I'm not going to punish Cenk for something he's already apologized for. You want to critique him for taking that damn money? That's a different discussion that we can have. You want to critique him for A, B, C, or D? That's a different discussion we can have. But I'm not going to rescind my endorsement because he was learning and growing in a different time, the same as you, the same as me. Because if that's what we're going to do, then I got to hold Bernie accountable for for introducing legislation to overthrow Gaddafi, which led to Libya becoming a slave state. I got to hold Bernie accountable for saying in 2017 that Palestinians don't deserve equal rights under a one-state solution because that he fears that they might wipe out Israel, which is a little xenophobic. I got to hold Bernie accountable for he had a chance to introduce legislation and co-sponsor legislation to get big money out of politics. Did y'all know that? Move to amend. He had a chance to do this almost a decade ago, I want to say. Yeah, almost a decade ago. And he refused to do it. I got to hold him accountable for all those foreign policy votes. I got to hold him accountable for capitulating to the Democrats 10, 20 years ago. I got to hold him accountable for running against a progressive and using right-wing talking points when he was running in Vermont. But that's stupid to do that, right? Like, we're not going to hold him and excoriate him, hold him accountable and excoriate him. We can hold him accountable. We're not going to excoriate him for something he did in 1996, 1997, if he's shown that he has grown and learned. Right? I would think so. Just like I don't expect nobody do that with Tulsi. So I don't expect us to do that with Cenk, especially in Cenk's case, when we have so much present day shit we can cover on him. Period, point blank. Jackson Facts, thanks for the super chat. Seems like a decision that was made by Cenk, not Bernie. Roe just tweeted out that Cenk asked Bernie Roe. Yeah, no, that's not how politics works. I appreciate the super chat, and I appreciate you have a smear piece come out, and then you beg for the endorsement. You get the endorsement. You're hype about the endorsement. The smear piece comes out an hour or a day after the smear piece comes out. Or excuse me, less than 12 hours after the smear piece comes out. Cenk tweets that he won't be accepting any endorsements. And then Bernie tweets out that it was his. He tweets out, Bernie tweeted this out. I'll bring it back up. Cenk has been a long-time fighter against corruption. However, our movement is bigger than any one person, and I hear my supporters who are frustrated and understand their concerns. So it wasn't just Cenk. Bernie had been getting in anybody who's been following this endorsement. Bernie was getting lit up in the comment sections in his mentions before the LA Times article. Before that. So it isn't like that's the dumbest thing. I'm not accepting any endorsements from the most popular progressive candidate in the country. Why would I do something like that? That's a dumb. And what was so disingenuous about Cenk's tweet was like, he's like, now, although I've received support from, and he proceeds to list all the popular progressives he got from Bernie and Nina and Ro Khanna and others. I'm not accepting their endorsement from Bernie, Nina, and Ro Khanna, although they clearly support me. Bernie, Nina, and Ro Khanna all support me, but I'm not accepting their endorsements. But if they wanted to endorse me, I would be happy with the endorsement, but I can't accept it from Bernie, Nina, and Ro Khanna, who all like my campaign. Like, no, if you're not accepting endorsements, why are you bringing up Bernie, Nina, and Ro Khanna's name? Come on. Matthew Perot. Yeah, actually, that's exactly what it is. Reverse psychology. Exactly what it is. So, he can spin it however he wants to. But at the end of the day, nah. Like, I think that the campaign contacted him out of a courtesy. Okay? Or they answered the phone out of courtesy. But, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. Nicest way possible. I know Bernie. Bernie was going to rescind that endorsement. And even if he didn't do it, like this, he would have just put him in a Tim Canova corner where he just would never talk about him again, wouldn't campaign for him, wouldn't speak about him, wouldn't fundraise for him, might not even go on TYT anymore. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Of course, if YouTube is giving you trouble, as it always does, you can download the Rockfin app and follow us there. Also, if you want to continue to help our show grow, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon and donate as little as $1. Really, anything helps. Other than that, always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.